They yelled at him for his uniform. He was honored for bravery in a wheelchair. The air in Oak Ridge Estates carried the scent of freshly cut grass and simmering resentment. It was a neighborhood of sprawling lawns, identical beige siding, and an unspoken rule: blend in or be judged. At the corner of Cedar Lane, a small brick house broke the mold, not with flashy decor, but with a single defiant detail: a faded American flag fluttering beside a ramp leading to the front door. The ramp was new, built 6 months ago when Marcus Tate, a 32-year-old Army veteran, moved in. Marcus was a broad-shouldered man with a close-cropped beard and eyes that held both fire and fatigue. His wheelchair, sleek and black, was his constant companion, a reminder of the IED that took his legs in Afghanistan, but not his spirit. Marcus was no stranger to stairs, but Oak Ridge was different. Here, eyes lingered not just on his chair, but on the way he carried himself: unapologetic, proud. Every Saturday, he'd roll out to his porch in his old Army dress uniform, the jacket tailored to fit his frame, medals pinned meticulously: Silver Star, Purple Heart, and a combat action badge. He'd sit there sipping coffee, the uniform a quiet tribute to his past and a shield against the present. To Marcus, it was armor. To some neighbors, it was a provocation. Leading the charge was Karen Phelps, the Oak Ridge Homeowners Association president, a woman whose perfectly highlighted hair and designer athleisure masked a relentless need for control. Karen was 45, with a smile that never reached her eyes and a knack for turning minor infractions into neighborhood scandals. The HOA was her kingdom, its bylaws her scepter. Marcus's uniform, worn publicly and without apology, grated on her. It wasn't just the ostentatious display, her words hissed at a board meeting. It was his refusal to bow to her authority. He'd ignored her emails, skipped her meetings, and, worst of all, seemed immune to her disapproval. It began with a note, slid under Marcus's door on a humid July morning. "Dear Mr. Tate," it read in Karen's precise cursive, "your repeated public display of military attire is disruptive to community aesthetics. Per Section 3.1, non-standard appearances require approval. Cease immediately or face sanctions." Marcus read it, snorted, and tossed it into a drawer. The uniform stayed. So did his Saturday routine. Karen didn't take kindly to defiance. She convened an emergency HOA meeting, her voice sharp as she waved the bylaws like a battle flag. "This isn't about his service," she insisted, though her tone suggested otherwise. "It's about consistency. If we let him parade around in that uniform, what's next? Halloween costumes? Pajamas?" Her allies, Greg, a realtor with a fake tan, and Susan, a retiree who lived for Karen's approval, nodded vigorously. Others weren't so sure. Javier, a mechanic who lived 2 streets over, shifted uncomfortably. "He's a vet," he muttered. "Let him be." Karen shot him a look that could curdle milk. The next week, Karen escalated. She confronted Marcus on his porch, her heels clicking on the ramp as she approached. He was in his uniform, coffee mug balanced on his knee, the silver star catching the morning light. "Mr. Tate," she began, her voice syrupy with false concern, "I'm sure you understand why we can't have this. It's distracting. And honestly, how do we know you earned those medals? Stolen valor is a real problem." Marcus's grip tightened on his mug, but his voice was calm, almost amused. "Ma'am, I earned these the hard way. You want proof? Look at my legs, or what's left of them." His words were a blade, but Karen didn't flinch. "That's no excuse," she snapped. "Rules are rules. Take it down, or I'll have to involve the board." She turned on her heel, leaving Marcus staring at the flag, his jaw set. Word of the clash spread faster than a summer wildfire. Oak Ridge was a pressure cooker, and Karen's accusation, stolen valor of all things, lit the fuse. The neighborhood split like a fault line. Karen's loyalists rallied, flooding the HOA's private Facebook group with posts about standards and respect for the community. Greg called Marcus attention-seeking, while Susan sniffed that real heroes don't flaunt it. But others pushed back. Javier, whose brother had served, was furious. "She's calling a wounded vet a liar?" he said at the local bar. "That's low, even for Karen." Lila, a 28-year-old nurse who lived across from Marcus, became his unexpected ally. She'd seen him on his porch, noticed the way he saluted the flag when no one was watching. Her grandfather had been a Marine, and she recognized the weight of Marcus's routine. She started small, bringing him homemade tamales one evening, striking up a conversation. Marcus was guarded but warm, sharing snippets of his past. A small-town kid from Georgia, enlisted at 18, deployed 3 times. The medals, he said, weren't for him but for his team, half of whom didn't make it back. Lila listened, her resolve hardening. Someone had to stop Karen. Lila enlisted her cousin Ethan, a tech-savvy 20-year-old who loved a challenge. "Find out who Marcus really is," she told him. Ethan dove in, scouring military records, news archives, and veteran forums. He wasn't ready for what he'd find, but it was exactly what Oak Ridge needed. August brought heat and hostility. Karen's crusade intensified. She slapped Marcus with fines, $75 a week for non-compliance. When he paid without comment, she upped the ante, proposing a new bylaw banning military displays entirely. The proposal sparked heated debates at HOA meetings, where Karen's polished arguments clashed with growing dissent. Javier spoke up, his voice shaking with anger. "This is about one guy honoring his brothers. You're making it personal, Karen." She brushed him off, but cracks were forming in her coalition. Susan stopped commenting on the Facebook group, and Greg's enthusiasm waned as neighbors whispered about boycotting his realty business. Marcus kept his routine, but the strain was visible. His porch time grew shorter, his smiles rarer. Lila noticed the way he'd pause at the ramp's edge, staring at the flag as if it held answers. She and Ethan worked tirelessly, their research painting a picture of a man far braver than Oak Ridge deserved. Ethan found a 2018 article from a Georgia newspaper detailing Marcus's silver star for dragging 2 wounded soldiers to safety under Taliban fire, even after the IED shredded his legs. A Pentagon press release confirmed the Purple Heart, and a grainy YouTube clip from a veterans charity event showed Marcus, newly in his wheelchair, speaking haltingly about survivors' guilt. "I wear this uniform for them," he'd said, voice breaking. "They're the heroes." Ethan also stumbled on a Reddit thread from a user tagged mtate92, posted years ago. It was a raw, late-night confession about the nightmares, the guilt, the weight of medals he felt he didn't deserve. The thread was buried, but Ethan saved it, knowing it was Marcus's truth in his own words. Lila urged Ethan to share it, but he hesitated. "This is personal," he said. "What if he doesn't want it out there?" Lila agreed but argued, "Karen's slandering him. He deserves to be heard." Sure. They compromised, leaving a USB drive with the evidence on Marcus's porch, along with a note, "We know who you are. How can we help?" Marcus found it that evening, the USB drive glinting in the porch light. He plugged it into his laptop, his hands unsteady. The files, articles, videos, the Reddit post hit like a mortar round. He hadn't read that post in years, hadn't wanted to relive it. Karen's accusations had reopened scars, but Lila's faith stirred something deeper. He called her the next morning. "Post it," he said, his voice rough but firm. "Not for me, for the truth." Ethan uploaded the evidence to the HOA Facebook group, a meticulous post with links, screenshots, and the YouTube clip. He ended with Marcus's Reddit quote, "I don't wear this for glory. I wear it so they're not forgotten." The group went nuclear. Comments flooded in. Shock, guilt, fury. "Karen, you're disgusting," wrote Javier, usually reserved. Lila added, "This is what you're finding? A hero?" Even Susan broke ranks, posting, "I was wrong. I'm sorry, Marcus." Greg stayed silent, his loyalty to Karen crumbling. Karen was apoplectic. She deleted the post, claiming it was inflammatory, but screenshots spread like wildfire. Neighbors knocked on Marcus's door, not to gawk, but to apologize. Javier brought a 6-pack and shared stories of his brother's service. Lila organized a potluck, and dozens showed up, their casseroles a clumsy but sincere olive branch. Marcus didn't crow. He just listened, his uniform crisp, his medals gleaming. The fines stopped, but Karen wasn't done. She doubled down, drafting a cease-and-desist letter accusing Marcus of defamation for the public backlash. It was a desperate move, and it backfired spectacularly. The neighborhood was done with her. At the next HOA meeting, Javier proposed a vote to oust Karen as president. The room was packed. the air thick with anticipation. Karen fought dirty, accusing Marcus of manipulating the community. "He's playing the victim," she shrieked, her composure gone. Lila stood, holding the USB drive like a grenade. "You want to talk manipulation? You lied about a veteran's service. You fined him for honoring his dead friends. That's not leadership. That's bullying." The vote was a landslide. Karen was out, replaced by Javier, who promised to rewrite the bylaws with common sense. Marcus didn't attend the meeting. He was on his porch, uniform on, coffee in hand. But word reached him, and for the first time in weeks, he smiled. September brought cooler air and a reckoning. The HOA meeting that sealed Karen's fate was just the beginning. Oak Ridge transformed, slowly but surely. Marcus's ramp became a gathering spot, not for pity, but for stories. Neighbors brought folding chairs, kids played on the lawn, and Marcus shared pieces of his past. Funny moments, like his squad's prank wars, and harder ones, like the names etched on his heart. Lila became a regular, her tamales a weekly ritual. Ethan, now a minor celebrity for his research, taught Marcus how to use Reddit properly, earning a rare laugh. Karen faded from the spotlight. Her house went up for sale. Her highlighted hair spotted less often at the grocery store. She never apologized, but one morning, Marcus found a note in his mailbox, unsigned but in her cursive. "I misjudged you." It wasn't enough, but it was something. Marcus tucked it away, next to her first letter, a reminder of battles fought and won. The neighborhood's biggest moment came in October, when the mayor invited Marcus to a Veterans Day ceremony. Oak Ridge rallied, organizing a carpool to City Hall. Marcus, in his wheelchair and uniform, was honored with a Bravery citation, not for his past, but for his resilience in the face of slander. The crowd, neighbors, veterans, even a sheepish Greg, stood as he accepted it, his silver star gleaming under the stage lights. Lila cried, Javier saluted, and Ethan filmed it, posting it to the group with the caption, "This is who we are." Marcus returned to his porch the next Saturday, uniform on, coffee in hand. The flag fluttered, the ramp gleamed, and the neighborhood felt different, less like a pressure cooker, more like a community. The medals weren't just his anymore. They were Oak Ridge's, a symbol of what happens when truth outshines prejudice. And as the sun rose, casting light on the silver star, Marcus saluted, not just for his team, but for the neighbors who'd finally seen him for who he was.